fly, and the Gamecocks lead at 13-3.
Derek Scott on the call last night on the Gamecocks Radio Network. That was Austin Brindling's first home run as a South Carolina Gamecock, and this guy's got such an interesting story, and we've talked about it plenty. Since he's been in the starting lineup, of course, he was at Florida, didn't get to play, went to North Florida, was at Daytona Beach Community College. Like, this guy has bounced around kind of here, there, and everywhere, and he came to South Carolina looking for an opportunity to once again try and play in the SEC, and for, the better part of the first half of the year, he was not at the standard of where the coaching staff needed him to be a serious contributor in the lineup. And, through hard work, through development and all that kind of stuff, he finally got to that point a couple weeks ago where the coaching staff felt comfortable inserting him in the starting lineup. And even Kingston said it was kind of taking a chance. We didn't know how it was going to go, but it was a chance we were willing to take. So they sent him out there. He's been in in that leadoff spot, and he's done exceptional ever since. This past weekend at Missouri at the plate was not the greatest for him, but he had that amazing catch in the second inning that robbed the grand slam that kept South Carolina in that game. Then turns around last night, goes 4 or 5 with the home run, to hopefully continue on his momentum this weekend, taking on Georgia. So really cool to see out of Austin Brindling last night. And when you score 15 runs, everybody's going to get out there and have a really good night overall. And that's certainly what we saw with South Carolina. You had Kennedy Jones with another good outing last night. 3 of 5, 4 RBIs. Had 2-run homer earlier in that game as well. So again, just good production up and down the lineup. Ethan Petrie hit a bomb of a home run that may still not have landed after bouncing off that light pole. I think, the only person in the starting nine last night that did not end up with at least 1 RBI was actually Dalton Reeves. But he still went 2 for 4 on the night. So a great night all around for South Carolina. And again, you got in, you got out, you won the game, and didn't have to, expel too much energy. You had, 5 guys come in and pitch last night. Pitzer threw the most balls with 40, so still was able to keep his count pretty low there. So you'll have your full complement of guys for this upcoming weekend series taking on Georgia. And by the way, Pitzer, good outing, threw 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. So good night overall on all fronts. And, again, wrapped up a very successful midweek slate this year at 12-1. And we don't really put as much emphasis on those games because, of course, you're playing non-conference teams. A lot of times it's these mid-majors that don't exactly bolster your resume. And we know this to be especially true this season. The momentum of those midweek games counts for a lot. And if South Carolina can handle its business on Tuesday, we always hope that carries over the momentum to the weekend. Now, that does not always translate to weekend series victories, but South Carolina has never been run over on a weekend by anybody this year. Even in the series that they've lost, they've been competitive for the most part in all of those games. And, having those wins in the middle of the week to bolster that momentum into the weekend, I think does end up going a long way. So good to see South Carolina wrap up a very good midweek slate last night, taking down Winthrop. And now you turn your attention to the big dog coming to town, a team that, and Wes and I were talking about this after we got off air on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. He asked me, was Georgia expected to be this good? And I said, not this good. Georgia last year had fired Scott Strickland as their head coach after he struggled to get the team to where people thought they should be. And look, Georgia has not won the national championships in recent years like South Carolina has, but they were a team that was consistently going to Omaha in the early 2000s. David Perno took them most recently back in 2008, with that team that ended up losing in the finals. And Coach Strickland, after taking Kent State to a College World Series a few years ago, or over a decade ago now, was expected to come in and take Georgia to those heights that people expected. And he could never even get them to a super regional. So they moved on from him, bringing Wes Jackson as the, as the new head coach for the first time. I mean, he was only a pitching coach, before his previous stops. And I think they've definitely exceeded people's expectations. Now, Wes Johnson is somebody that's been around the league for a long time as a pitching coach in multiple places, most recently LSU on the national championship winning team a season ago. But I don't know if anybody expected them to be this good out of the gate in his first year at Georgia. But obviously a great team led by a great player, because you can't talk about Georgia without talking about Charlie Condon. And he is going to be a problem tomorrow night for South Carolina, because he's been a problem for everybody this season. He is legitimately the best player in all of college baseball. He leads the nation in batting average. He leads the nation in slugging percentage, OPS. Also, home runs. He's homered in 7 straight games. He's on an 18-game hitting streak. I could be here all day listing all the great things this guy has done, and he's going to get his runs this weekend. Like, that's just a given. You're going to have to account for that. You're not going to shut down this Georgia lineup. Charlie Condon himself accounts for roughly about 2 runs a game between what he drives in with RBIs and what he does on the base path himself. So, this might be one of those weekends where you get into one of those high-scoring shootouts. You better have the offense ready to go against this Georgia team, because they can score a lot of runs. And it's not just Charlie Condon. They're not a one-trick pony. They got a lot of good guys in this lineup. Corey Collins, very solid leadoff guy, who leads the league, by the way, in getting hit by pitch. He crowds the plate and ends up getting a lot of free passes because of it. So got to be careful with that. Slade Alford, very good cleanup hitters, hit in 15 of the last 17 games. So there's a lot of weapons on this Georgia offense. Very solid pitching staff as well. No staff ERA isn't great, but what they have at starting pitching and a couple pieces in their bullpen, very, very good and very, very effective, that South Carolina is going to have to deal with over the course of these next 3 games. And again, it's a quick turnaround. You played last night up the road in Rock Hill. Thankfully, that's not that far of a drive. 48 hours later, you're playing Georgia. Like, they are coming to town tomorrow afternoon. There's no time to rest. There's no time to, get readjusted. It's go time. And for Carolina, where you're sitting right now, according to D1 Baseball, latest projections, you're a 10 seed. You have that carrot in front of you. You take care of business the next 2 weekends. You split the next 6 games, 3-3. You might have a shot at being a top 8 seed if things go your way. Now, again, it also depends on what happens around you, but South Carolina's right there. You might put yourself in position, if you can handle your business this upcoming weekend and next weekend against Tennessee. Take it one game at a time. That's all you can do. And very excited for the series against Georgia. Going to be a big deal. Obviously, Founders Park going to be packed to the gills. We gave away some tickets a little bit earlier. So if you're there, I encourage you, be loud, be rowdy, make it a hostile environment that we know Williams-Brice Stadium, or not Williams-Brice Stadium, Founders Park can be. We talked about this a couple weeks back, that it seemed like there was a little bit of a lull where the fans weren't quite as juiced as you thought they were going to be in that series against Arkansas. I would say in the week since, where you were able to get a couple key series victories against Kentucky, now against of Missouri. Hopefully, we've got a good atmosphere coming up this weekend, taking on Georgia. And again, all that starts tomorrow night. First pitch tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Pregame coverage starting at 7:45. Friday night, 5:30 first pitch, 5:15 pregame. Then Saturday to wrap up the series, 2 o'clock first pitch and a 1:45 pregame, which you can all listen to right here on The Game. We'll talk plenty about this. Also, plenty of football conversation as well as we roll along on the halftime show. Tyler Head along with Terry Ford on your Wednesday here on The Game.
Well, now he gets one to left center field. Ethan Petrie bangs it off the light standard. A no-doubter. That may have been the biggest blast of the night. Yeah. Holy smokes. That light standard is to the right of the 370 mark, and that hit off of it more than halfway up. It looks like it was still climbing. Make it 14-3 and give Ethan Petrie his 19th home run of the season.
If that ball doesn't hit the light standard, it might have landed in 5 points.
Yeah, it might have. That was
it was a bomb, man.
That was quite a shot. And I brought this up to Wes and Chris. They're like, are we surprised? Like, nothing that Ethan Petrie does shocks me. Like, oh, he hit it halfway up a light pole, past 370. Like, yeah, that sounds about right. I said if he would have hit it over that egregiously enormous batter's eye last night, I would be like, yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, that's a weird ballpark.
Apparently, that's the biggest batter's eye in the entire country.
Yeah, it's a gigantic batter's eye. And Derek and Stuart were talking about how it was built right into the sun.
Yes. So, okay, Wes and Chris thought I was weird about this, but I told them, because I was an outfielder in high school, and whenever we'd go play at somebody else's ballpark, I would always go to, like, Google Maps and look up their ballpark in reference to ours so I'd know where the sun was. And they're like, I never thought of that. I thought everybody did that kind of thing.
Well, back when I played Tyler Head, we didn't have Google Maps. We had a sundial. No, I played the outfield my whole life.
Yeah, and a lot of places the sun comes up behind home plate. So when you're shagging a fly ball in the middle of the day, guess what? You're gonna probably lose it in the sun.
Yeah, I always first thing I did when I got to a ballpark was check out where's the sun.
Yep.
Where's the sun? And I didn't like the shades. The shades bothered me because for some reason when I drop shades or wore like shades, it screwed up my depth perception. I don't know why.
So I had these shades. I had the flip down ones.
Yep, I had those. I didn't like them.
It had like because there was like different like lenses to them. One was like the green lens, which I thought worked really well because it allowed the ball to like stand out against like the backstop and stuff like that. And like I would only flip them down when it went up in the air, and like I know that I'm tracking at that point in time. So it was effective for me, at least.
Well, a lot of people used them. I'm in the minority.
Yeah.
But for some reason, my depth perception got weird. My peripheral vision and everything was bizarre.
You start backtracking and it lands 20 feet in front of you.
In front of me, right? Like, can you get that for me, please? Yeah, I was back by the fence. Thank you. I just would do the old school, put the glove in the sun.
Oh, yeah.
And if I didn't see the ball, it meant the ball was in the sun.
Yeah.
And then I'd navigate from there.
It doesn't hit you in the face.
Exactly. Because the shades just screwed with me. And again, I'm the only dude on my team that couldn't wear them. Everybody laughed at it because I just couldn't do it. But yeah, the sun. I mean, playing in Rock Hill, from what Derek and Stuart were talking about, that's an outfielder's dream.
Oh yeah.
Because the sun's behind you.
That's right.
Now, if you're a hitter, they almost stopped that game.
I know, sun delay.
And I was sitting there going, seriously, we're gonna have a sun delay, really? I've been in sports radio since 2000. Never heard of a sun delay. Now, maybe there's one I've never heard of, but I've never, ever heard of a sun delay.
That's a first.
But they didn't. It was almost, they were thinking about it, and then they kept going. They were funny. They were saying Cole Messina's like, I can see. Yeah. Seriously, I'm good here.
Man, why do they throw no-hitters on Tuesday nights specifically? Because the batters can't see it.
Opponent batting average in Rock Hill, 0.42. But nice midweek win. Look, we've said this all year. This team, the eye test, you don't go, wow. We saw over the weekend, you won 2 out of 3 at Missouri, and your starting pitchers gave you 5 total innings. That's typically not the recipe to win 2 out of 3.
Usually not.
But your bullpen was nails, and offensively you scored a ton of runs in the 2 victories, and you walk out of there with a series win. It's been like that this year. It's just, the eye test doesn't wow you, but the numbers go, pretty good team, better team than you think by your eye test if you look at the numbers.
And that's the thing. Like, we feel like the fan base has been very down on the team this year. But again, when you look at all the metrics, RPI, where they're projected to be at right now, they're one of the best teams in the country. It just doesn't feel that way when we're watching them day in and day out.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's, you like offensively, there were struggles most of the year hitting with runners on base and runners in scoring position. The starting pitching has been inconsistent. the bullpen at times has had some issues. They've been really good lately. But it feels like this team has kind of got its footing right now.
Mm-hmm.
You win the Kentucky series, you win the Missouri series, you win a couple of, you win the midweek against Winthrop. You seem like you got it going down the right path at the right time.
And that's such a huge part of baseball, being good at the right time. If you were the best team in the country from February to April, well, it's not going to matter in May.
And being good at the right time is so random. Like, Ole Miss wasn't good at the right time till the College World Series started.
Mm-hmm.
Or really the playoffs started.
Yeah.
Ole Miss wasn't, even in the SEC tournament, if my memory serves me, they weren't great that year. And they kind of underachieved the whole season. They got in the postseason, they made a run and won the whole thing.
Yep.
So getting hot at the right time is a very general term, but it means really you got to have it going on when the postseason starts.
Sure.
That's when you really got to get it going. And if you can get it going a little bit before it, and start getting your groove and feeling good and confident, there's nothing wrong with that either. But put it this way, right now, Tyler, what South Carolina is doing is great, but it doesn't matter if you go host a regional and get whooped.
That's true, but you have what you need to be successful. You have a 1 through 9 that can hit the ball. You have good depth at pitching. Knock on wood, haven't really been affected by injuries that much this year outside of Tippett, who we should be getting back maybe as soon as this weekend, and Eddie Copper, who, again, was just kind of your midweek guy at that point in time compared to what you've had in years past where you've been ravaged by injuries at certain areas. So you feel good about the depth that you have. You feel good about the production that you have on the offense. Those are all recipes for success.
I feel like offensively, they found something, and I think it's going to be sustainable. Because, I mean, the lineup, different guys have given, different production at different times. I mean, we've seen a lot of, like Kennedy Jones got it going again. Brindley in the top of the order, his first home run as a Gamecock last night, obviously. Petrie hit a ball that could have knocked out that sun. Lee Croy had that multi-hit game over the weekend against Missouri. Costas has been going much better. It seems like it's coming from everywhere in the lineup, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
The pitching is where my concern would be, especially the starters. The bullpen's had to do a lot of heavy lifting here lately, which is great. The bullpen has been successful. Last night you used all your young'uns. Didn't have to touch anybody but all the young pitchers, and that was great. The starters, that's where to me, if this team is going to make a run, the starting pitchers have to at least be solid. You can't get 5 innings.
No.
They have to at least be solid and hand the ball off.
If your pitcher, you're starting 3 combined for 5 innings this weekend, you're likely not winning any of those games.
That's going to be a tough road because Georgia, and you brought it up, Georgia can rake. And it's not one guy.
Yeah,
we added up, Elijah and I were looking at it a little while ago. They have 4 guys with OPS over 1,000. Mm-hmm. They've got 5 guys with OPS over 900.
Yep.
And it's easy to say, well, I'm not pitching to Condon. That's fine. That's all well and good, but guess what? They got a bunch of other guys that can hurt you too.
Yeah, they lead, as a team, they lead the SEC in on-base percentage and slug, and they're second in slugging.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their numbers, they're sick. They're third in runs scored, like you said, where they're at in those other metrics. Also, I mean, they're not just a one-trick pony. They're fourth in doubles. They are a flat-out fantastic offensive team. Like you said, they get on base and they slug. Those two things in combination are dangerous.
Yep.
And you know what's even funny? I saw this number. No one has attempted less stolen bases than Georgia. They've only been thrown out twice all year.
I know.
They're 21 and 23. So I guess the opposing team is so stunned when they actually attempt to steal a bag that nobody can throw them out. But they're one of the 3 best offensive teams in this league.
Yep.
And they're dangerous. It's not just one guy, who, by the way, just tied the NCAA record for home runs in a season.
He's on a 7-game home run streak and an 18-game hitting streak.
He's on a heater. But it's not just him. Up and down the lineup, they can hurt you.
And that's the thing is, like, he's going to get his.
Mm-hmm.
You're not shutting him down for the weekend. He's going to get a home run or 2. He's going to get anywhere between 3 and 6 RBIs. Like, you're just going to have to accept that. It's limiting everybody else around him.
Yeah.
That is the key to winning.
Because the problem is if Corey Collins starts tearing you up,
Yeah.
he's the second best offensive player on the team. Or is Dylan Goldstein going to get you? Or any of the other array of guys with an OPS over 900.
Yep.
They're just they walk, they get on base, they work the zone, and when they barrel in anger. I mean, it is a high-level offensive team. And then once you get through that, then you get arguably the best offensive team in the SEC in their barn.
Doesn't get easier.
But that ballpark in Knoxville, we were joking today, I might be able to hit it out from second base. Maybe.
Short porch.
Very short porch in Knoxville. But Tennessee's the best offensive team in the league, especially in their own ballpark. But the good news is you got an offense that's good as well, so a small ballpark can also benefit you.
Right.
But so you got the two best offenses in the league back-to-back. All right, we'll hear from Mark Kingston in the next segment, what the coach said after the win over Winthrop last night. That is coming up. Also, tickets to go check out Asia Wilson and the Aces this weekend at CLA. That's coming up, so be listening for that too. Halftime show, Terry Ford, Tyler Head. Thanks for hanging with us, whether you're near Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach. We roll till 3 on the game. This time of year, a lot of people like to redo the house, change up some things, sort of like spring cleaning, but, with just the look of the home. And you have an idea what you want, and whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or not, it's always good to talk to some experts, right? Because sometimes you don't know what you think you know, and that's okay. Just write down this number, 803-978-2025. Call the experts at the Nest, whether you want some new appliances for the kitchen, lighting, fixtures, maybe a new shower, bathtub, whatever the case. Call the Nest. 70 years of experience over at the Nest, and they will sit and talk with you, and you tell them what you want to do, your taste, your goals, your budget, and they will make it happen for you within all of those areas. Again, 803-978-2025. Over 70 years of experience. That's what the Nest brings, whether you are a do-it-yourselfer or not. Give them a call. They'll make sure you get what you want. 803-978-2025, the Nest. Halftime show, Terry Ford and Tyler Head here on the game. Appreciate you hanging out. Do not forget that you can listen to 107.5 The Game, not just in Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Florence, the Midlands, roughly half the state. You can listen to it anywhere. South Carolina, North Carolina, maybe you're rolling off to, vacationing, in Afghanistan, whatever. I don't know.
Not a popular vacation spot.
Oh, it's dreamy. Most people talk about, am I going to go to the Bahamas? Am I going to maybe, I don't know, roll to Amsterdam, or should I just go to Afghanistan?
It wasn't high on my list.
Not on your bucket list of places to go?
It was not.
You and the wife didn't consider Afghanistan for the honeymoon?
It wasn't on the table.
All right. Well, you do you. You're missing out. Just saying. All right. But you can just take the game with you. All you do is go to Google Play or iTunes and download 107.5 The Game. Listen to us anywhere you go at any time. All right, so Mark Kingston talking after the win over Winthrop. Again, the easy 15-3 run ruling of Winthrop last night, where you got to use a lot of your young pitchers. They have more than held their own. Offensively, you got cooking and ended up walking out of there with a nice run rule victory, and you get ready in a short week for the Thursday game against Georgia. Here's Mark Kingston. Basically, here's his total assessment of the victory.
I like the effort of everything I saw tonight. The bullpen, obviously offensively, we were outstanding again today, and our defense was really top-notch. So just a complete game from us on the road in our last midweek game of the year. So that was great to see.
Now, is Mark standing in the middle of people playing catch?
No. That was them cleaning up the field after the game. In fact, we have another cut where there's an insanely loud leaf blower right behind Coach Kingston as he's trying to talk.
There's something that happens. So it doesn't happen a lot, but every now and then we get those post-game pressers when they're like cleaning the field or doing something. There's got to be a better way.
Well, and that in any road game, they don't have a formal sit-down post-game prayer. He literally is talking with the media
on the
outside
field.
the dugout, probably before they get on the bus.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how they do it.
That's how they do it. It's like, and I understand logistics, and I get it's not football, basketball. I understand. But how about you do this already? Hey, let's all walk over here where there is no leaf blower. Or you look at the leaf blower guy. Can you do us a solid and give us 5 minutes? Just give us 5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes ain't going to kill you on the ride home. Just help us out here, please.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. But anyway. So,
I don't know how concerned Kingston is with the quality of the audio of his post-game.
If I was Mark, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 1.
You know what? When he's on with Jay and Elijah on Monday, he'll be like, can we get a quieter place for these things, please?
Yeah, go over there. Mark probably doing his office, I guess, is where he's doing them. He's going there with a leaf blower in his office while he's doing that. Just make you feel comfortable, Coach. Just like you're doing one of these road post-game interviews. All right, so look, if you're Coach Kingston, again, it was all good, man. You scored a ton of runs. Your young pitchers did a really nice job shutting down Winthrop defensively. You were fine. And you walk out with an easy win. Pitcher McCoy, Dean, Whitting, and Polk. Nice work. Only gave up 3 runs. 5 hits. McCoy had a little issue with command and control with the 3 walks and the wild pitch with the run scored. But, you couldn't ask for a better night. Brindling, 4 for 5, his first home run as a Gamecock. Jones got his little mini slump with a couple of knocks, had 5 RBIs, and again, Petrie only had 1 hit, but they should have counted that one as 2 or 3 hits. If you go by total footage,
right?
Thing was a cannon shot. You had 5 home runs. Really nice night all the way around. If you're Mark Kingston and your team,
yeah, and you got out with a run roll. Again, it's a short week, quick turnaround. Mm-hmm. So the last thing you wanted was a 9-inning grinder, so you got out of there pretty easily. All
of a sudden, you had to dig into your bullpen that you didn't want to use, and you're trying to save them for third. So it just worked out perfect.
So I brought this up earlier before you came in, and I said, listen to the game last night. I didn't know that the Sun Belt or the Big South does not have run rules, and you typically play by the rules of the hosting team. And I was like, are we going to have to sit through South Carolina scoring 27 runs through 9 innings just because the Big South doesn't have a run rule? But I'm assuming Coach Kingston got together with the other team and was like, hey, listen, we're up by 10 after 7. We're leaving.
Yeah, guys, the bus starts.
Yeah, we're not sticking around.
The sound you hear is not going to be the leaf blower. It's our bus. And here's Coach talking about the strong midweek record this year. Only one midweek loss. That was that 8-0 L against Georgia Southern. So here is Coach Kingston. While running the leaf blower for the guys in Rock Hill, here's Coach talking about how well the Gamecocks have done in the midweek.
And we've had years where Tuesday nights and midweek games were an absolute battle. And we dominated the midweek games this week, 12-1. Hard to beat that. And we did it convincingly on those Tuesdays. So I think that speaks to the talent, the depth, and the ability of our guys to stay focused in non-weekend games.
I love that he doesn't attempt to talk louder. He keeps the same volume the entire time. If you watch the video, it's right behind him on like the third base line. This guy's just, I don't know, blowing some of the dirt around.
I just want to go to break. It's like the guy with the leaf blower went, wait a minute. I don't think I'm loud enough over here. I need to get right behind him now.
Oh, so he's starting his presser now? All right, perfect. Let me get over there.
It's time. It's like a couple years ago, my first year here, we were doing a live broadcast. I'm not going to say where, but we're doing a live broadcast. And there were guys working, the landscaping and the work at this business outside. And as soon as we kicked the show, the guy said, you know what's a good idea right now? Mow that area. Perfect idea, time to mow the lawn. And by the way, is there a setting on this lawnmower that makes it extra loud? It was unreal. I walked over, I said, hey, man, can you do me a huge solid? If I point to you when we have a commercial break, can you mow then? Please.
Okay, I'll give you a cue. You have like 4 minutes.
When I was like, I said, it's not a big patch. I was like, can we work out a deal where if I give you some kind of signal, you'll mow? It's you're gonna get about like 3, 4, 5 minutes. Can you help me out, please?
That's funny.
Because it was like, brrr. That's what that reminded me of. But they've been so good in the midweek, and a couple years ago, every midweek game was craziness. Mm-hmm. And they really struggled, and that cratered their postseason 2 years ago. As much as injuries and everything else, just they would just lose midweek games. And last year they were much better in the midweek than the year before. But this season, in my 3 baseball, campaigns here, this season, far and away, they handled their business much better in the midweek.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you're typically taking on these mid-major teams, so it's not these gargantuan opponents, but if nothing else, it helps your momentum. So especially when you come off of a weekend win like the Missouri series was, getting set for this huge series against Georgia, the last thing you want to do is lose on Tuesday.
Right.
And baseball's such a momentum-heavy game. Putting together wins does account for something. So now you come in with 2 wins in a row, series win against Missouri. You won your midweek last week. Beat Kentucky in 2 out of 3 games the weekend before. Like, you're riding a lot of momentum going into this series tomorrow night.
Yeah, and you ride that wave. And look, if you can find a way. I mean, look, you're at home. Should you win 2 out of 3? Yeah, you're at home. Georgia's really good. Georgia's metrics and numbers are right in the neighborhood of yours. They're a very good baseball team, but you're at home. You should win 2 out of 3. And then you got to go to Tennessee. If you can win 2 out of 3 against Georgia, go to Tennessee. Let's just say you win 1.
I would say if you go 50-50 these final 6 games, that gets you over 500 in conference play. That's at least 1 series win against these next 2 opponents. That might be enough to get you into an 8.
That you're going to be able to at the very least hold your spot, if not improve your standing.
Yes.
So, but look, Georgia's pitching staff is not that great. They're below average. They're not terrible, but they're below average. So hopefully, we talked about how good Georgia can rip it offensively. The way your offense is going, you should be able to do some damage against the Georgia pitching staff.
Right.
So put it this way, these could be some long games.
They might be. And tomorrow night's pitch is first at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So buckle up.
Yeah, buddy. All right, sleep in on Friday. All right, we'll get back in here. Halftime show. We have our Firehouse sub. Text the hour at 803-404-6100. We'll grab that. And we will get you ready for football in the 1 o'clock hour. Halftime show right here on the game. Time to check out our Firehouse subtext, the hour at 803-404-6100. What do you got there, Tyler Head?
Yeah, Bill weighs in and says John Belushi was handling the leaf blower.
Oh, that's good. Very good.
It had the making of like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Oh, you don't want me to do it here? Okay, I got it.
That's what it sounded like. What are they doing over there?
Oh, it's really important. Oh well.
Yeah, let me turn this baby on high. Let me walk on over there. I'll tell you what. Well, one time we used to morning show I did in Baltimore. We used to do a week of spring training in Fort Lauderdale, and we would set up basically in the stands, in an area right by the stands in Fort Lauderdale where the Orioles would play their spring training games.
Yep.
And they had a dude, and he wasn't like the main groundskeeper of the Orioles. He was like the Fort Lauderdale ballpark groundskeeper guy. And once he realized what we were doing, this guy was, I was sweating watching this cat. I mean, he's out there beating the heck out of the mound, getting everything set, doing his, grounds crew magic. And he's making noise, and we can hear him, but it's like off in the distance.
Sure.
Once he realized what we were doing, he started getting closer, started getting louder. Finally, by Wednesday, we said, "Hey, man, you want to come in here and talk to us?" And his response was interesting. It involved a finger.
Ah.
Yeah.
You're trying to be nice.
Yeah, I was just trying to invite him on the air.
No, you were distracting him from prepping the field.
And you know what he probably said? Those guys are getting in my way.
They didn't run it by him first.
That's right. He was not a people person.
Well, and every stadium has their grounds crew, and
oh sure,
there's the head's groundskeeper that pays attention to every blade of grass, wants to make sure everything's perfectly in place. Anything that's going to alter that is usually not met very well.
I'd like to get like Bill Murray from Caddyshack, groundskeeper.
You just have like weeds growing up in center field, and the dirt's not raked. Second base is missing. Why is there a pizza box out in the middle of the infield? Oh, that's second base today.
It's right next to that empty Miller bottle. So I said to the llama, I could watch that today and die laughing.
And he's just off chasing a squirrel. It's his arch nemesis.
So, yeah, John, that was a good text. We appreciate it on the our Firehouse Sub text the hour at 803-404-6100. I could, God love Mark. Mark is answering the question, and Mark is just, he's totally, to his credit, locked this leaf blower out.
Oblivious to it that's 3 feet behind him.
And I'm with you. It's not like he tried to go like this. Anyway, like I was saying, what I meant, he just keeps going like normal tone. He's not trying to talk over leaf blower guy. Mark's just, he's zoned in and focused and locked in on the answer.
He's a unique cat.
So good. And the answer, it's a good answer and it's a good question, but you just can't take anything seriously with leaf blower guy. Oh, so good. So good. Thanks for the text. Firehouse Up text of the hour at 803-404-6100. All right, obviously, Georgia taking on South Carolina starting Thursday. And we've got, obviously, all the games here. 107.5 the game in Columbia, 100.3 the game in Myrtle Beach. Now, remember, Thursday's a late night start, 7:45 pre, 8 o'clock first pitch, TV,
yep.
ESPNU.
No, it's ESPN2 now. They've actually changed that today.
All right, ESPN2. Friday, 5:15 pre, 5:30 first pitch. Coverage starts Saturday, 1:45. And again, obviously no Sunday game. And Georgia, by the way, coming off that sweep of Vandy. And just give you the example of Georgia. They pounded Commodore's pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia scored 35 runs in that sweep. One of those games, a 10-0 run rule. And they smacked Vandy around. And before that, took out Kennesaw State 9-3, won the last game of that series against A&M. So right now, Georgia is cooking, a 5-game win streak.
Yep.
And they have been, everyone's talking about Condon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no one's really talking about how good Georgia is. Everybody's just talking about the dude that's, possibly setting a home run record.
Well, not to mention the fact this is the first year of Wes Johnson as their head coach. They weren't expected to be this good.
No, not at all. So they've kind of snuck up on everybody. Because remember, the team that's shocked the world is Kentucky, right?
Right.
So Kentucky is the level one shock the world. So Georgia's just kind of snuck around the bushes, and no one's even really. Then you look up and go, wow, they're top 10 RPI.
They are.
Oh, whoa! How about that?
So big series on both sides this weekend.
Now, if you look at Georgia's pitching, and we'll obviously talk more about it tomorrow as well, that's where things get a little sideways. Charlie Goldstein has been their best starter in 7 starts, 3.72 ERA, whip a little high at 1.32.
And so he had an injury this past weekend against Vanderbilt. We don't know if he's going to be going this weekend or not.
So he might not be going. And I haven't circled back yet. Remember, there's a huge controversy with our boy Christian.
Yeah, Christian Maracna after the A&M series, which we haven't heard anything
Doctoring
up to
the ball,
point.
we haven't heard anything.
So who knows? But keep an eye on him in the bullpen. I'll say that much.
Yes. All right, football. Sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Coming up next here on the Halftime Show on the Game. Halftime show, Terry Ford, Tyler Head here on the game. 1 o'clock hours, football. Sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Asia Wilson tickets also this hour. You'll hear a cool little sounder this hour when you hear it. I believe it's caller number 6 is what we're going with. And if you're caller number 6, you won a couple tickets for this weekend as Asia and the Las Vegas Aces show up at CLA to take on the Puerto Rican national team. So that's coming up this hour. And obviously Mother's Day is only a few days away.
How many people just realize that? Realize they've forgotten about it already.
They went like this, oh, bleep. Because that's what you say. Fill in your bleep, your version of the bleep. But I'll bleep.
Oh, nuts.
Yes. It's Mother's Day coming up, and I haven't gotten anything. If you haven't, or if you'd like to upgrade your game.
Put the macaroni yard away.
Yes, please. Go to our Facebook page, 1075 The Game's Facebook page, and follow the instructions. And we're going to do a drawing on Friday, and you could win a chance to send Mom to Atlanta's Evergreen Lakeside Resort, family 4-pack of passes to Stone Mountain Park. That'd be a cool little giveaway.
It is.
To do for Mom on Mother's Day. So, again, go to our Facebook page at 1075 The Game and follow the hoops. There's only a couple, but do what you got to do, and that'll get you in for the drawing, and we'll see who gets the prize pack on Friday. All right, in the 1 o'clock hour, obviously, we dig into football. And Jared Brown was on not Gamecock Central, Garnet Trust Hour yesterday. And Brown talked about a variety of things. In case you missed it, we want to get you caught up on some of the stuff that Jared Brown yipped with Tyler and Wes and Chris. He discussed, first of all, you have your transfer wide receivers. There's 5 total, but really the 3 came in together almost with Brown and Larvidan and our buddy from Louisville.
Mari Huggins.
Thank you. His name, for some reason, always escapes me.
I'm here to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. They all came in together, kind of like the same size, same skill set to a point. Larvidan really split his time in the slot and out wide.
Yep.
But, Brown and our guy from Louisville.
Mari Huggins Bruce.
I'm just going to do that now.
Okay.
I like that. Huggins, Bruce, and Brown played mostly in the slot.
Yes.
But Larvidan spent his time almost 50-50, really, between the slot and out wide. But here's Jared Brown talking about the 3 wide receivers and their similar size and skill set.
I mean, we do talk about that. We'll come as a group and we'll say, that we all know that we're not the biggest group on the team, so that just makes us work even harder. I feel like the reason that we were productive at our last school was we were used, to our strengths. Mm-hmm. So everything that we did, we were doing that we knew how to do extremely well. So I feel like having three of those guys on one team is very scary. On top of that, we did get bigger guys, but I feel like, I'm more of a speed guy. I'm not a bigger guy. So I feel like, like all 3 of us are fast. Every single receiver on that team has speed. So when everybody has speed like that, then you have to pick your poison.
I mean, yeah, they're all quick. And like I said, watching Huggins Bruce during the spring game when he got his chance to get some reps, he's a quick guy. Now, again, there's some things obviously he has to do better. He had dropped a few last year at Louisville, route running, some other things with the technical aspect of playing the position. But Huggins Bruce is quick.
Yep.
Brown is a yak yard maniac. Mm-hmm. Most of his yards are yak. His average depth of route is like 3 yards last year at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
So basically they said, we're going to get you the ball in space and go do something. And Brown did a lot of do something at Coastal. Like we said, Larvidan kind of, played both. So, but he brings the same skill set really to the table as Huggins, Bruce, and Brown. So they are similar in a lot of ways, even though they can do some things differently. And size-wise, they're all the same guys. All right, also, Jared Brown discussing route running and how he has to improve because he didn't run a lot of routes at Coastal. His route tree wasn't very diverse because they just wanted to give him the ball quick, in space, go make something happen, gain yards after the catch. So here's Jared Brown discussing how he's improving his route running.
Something in particular that I want to get better at is really route running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to, you know, I came here to be a complete receiver,
Mm-hmm.
and have production on this team consistently. You know, so I feel like the way that I can make the better step in that direction is to clean up my route running. That's really one thing that I need to work on. Like at Coastal, you know, we were in a triple option offense,
Yep.
so I really wasn't running routes like that. And then when they left, and then we came back, and then when the new staff came in with Coach Beck, you know, I was a slot receiver then, so I really wasn't having to run those real routes, the whole route tree. So one thing that I'm gonna really harp on this summer is the route tree and the mental aspect of the game.
You know, we always are so enamored with size and speed and all the athletic traits.
Mm-hmm.
But the wide receiver position, like you'll watch a guy, for an example, Adam Thielen, will go to the NFL. Adam Thielen is not going to beat Usain Bolt in the 100.
Sure.
Adam Thielen isn't going to wow you at the combine.
Right.
But then you go, okay, well, how does Adam Thielen always get open? Because in his prime, Adam Thielen was always open.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. Good route runner. Thielen, excellent route runner. You know, Stephon Diggs, excellent route runner. It's a way these guys get themselves open because they're good in manipulating the route tree.
And like you said, he was never really put in the position at Coastal to have to be effective at that, going from the triple option, then being a slot guy where you're not having somebody that's blanketing you the entire time. And something else that he said to Wes and Chris, or myself and Chris yesterday, getting the opportunity to try some things out wide, since he's been here at South Carolina, just getting used to having somebody truly covering you, going up against O'Donnell Fortune, having him shadow you throughout your route. Like, that's new to him. That's something that he's having to work on. And one thing that is an advantage for a guy like Jared Brown, assuming that he wants to stay here, he's got 2 years of eligibility. So it's not one of those things like, all right, well, if he doesn't produce this year, then what good was he? Like, he has the opportunity to be here for a couple of years, hopefully take some steps forward this year, and maybe be even better in 2025 as well. Because like you said, he wants to become a more refined, more better all-around wide receiver, and he has the opportunity to do that here with a very good wide receiver coach in Mike Ferry.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the next step for him. Because he did, again, and we talked about it, he was a guy that, you know, in that offense at Coastal, but they played to his strength in that offense. And that was just give him the ball quick and let him, you know, pick up yards after catch. Now he's going to show up at South Carolina, and yes, he's got to learn more of the route tree and refine running routes. And look, Dal Loggins always says he builds his offense around the strength of his players.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to obviously put in components of the passing offense that your receivers can do. Like, okay, let's say, you know, Jared Brown, okay, he can run a couple branches of the route tree, right?
Right.
Okay. While he's learning to do the other parts of the route tree, let's give a heavy dose to him of the things he can do. And that way he can give us, because he's going to make guys miss.
Yeah.
And he's going to produce plays. So let's give him in position to succeed. What he can do, we'll focus on that while we work on what he can't do. Yeah. And like you said, by next year, maybe you got a guy that can run the entire route tree.
Sure.
It's a work in progress when you've never done it.
Yeah.
And there's adjustments to make, too. Certain offenses, even in college, if you're a wide receiver, you know, there's that, they call it the stem. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Or sometimes you got to read a quick pre-snap or whatever the case. Okay, DB's here, I go here. There's a lot of above-the-neck stuff at wide receiver that we just don't talk about enough. All right, Jared Brown, let's grab another one here, Tyler. Brown's assessment, I think is interesting. Working with Coach Furry. Cut to brand new wide receiver coach. Seems like a rather intense individual. So let's hear what Jared Brown says about working with Coach Furry.
Yeah, man. I love Coach Furry. You know, Coach Furry. He's been at the next level, so he knows what it takes to get there. He knows that football is not just a physical game; it's also mental. So, you know, the mental aspect, he has given us a lot of great knowledge that we can take into the season. And knowledge, you know, learning coverages, learning leverage, how they're going to play us, how they can disguise the coverages and all that. So he's also given us the physical aspect of the game too, teaching us the route, timing, stuff like that. Because the new guys came from a different offense. I've been in 3 different offenses in college, so having a guy like that that's been at the next level that can slow it down for me and break it down so I can understand it, I really appreciate that.
It's really funny because I posed the question to him. Since he's been here at South Carolina, he's had like 3 different wide receiver coaches.
Right.
But he's like, yeah, I was in 3 different offensive coordinator systems. It doesn't faze me at all. Like that wasn't even a big deal to him.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because to most players, especially at the collegiate level, that would be a big deal.
Sure.
He's just like, dirt on my shoulder.
Whatever.
No big deal. I'm good. I really like the get of Jared Brown right from the get-go because of what he brings.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to get the ball in his hands. And once the ball gets in his hands, he can do stuff.
Well, and it reminds me a little bit of, funny enough, Homerun Brown, a small, speedy guy, primarily a slot guy. When he was healthy and he got the ball in his hands, he could make things happen. Now, the problem with staying healthy, obviously, but Jared Brown is in a similar way that type of player that I'm very interested to see, in addition to these other guys, what Dow Loggins ends up doing with him this fall.
That, and Larvadan got a lot of the love during the spring. We heard his name a lot.
Sure.
Brown, every now and then you hear, Brown made a play today, or Brown did that. You could see, look, we don't know what Campbell's going to bring at 6'4". He played in a terrible, terrible pass offense in Nevada, where if they completed a pass, they should have got points.
Right.
It was awful. So we don't know what he truly is, but he is 6'4". We don't know what Nicholas Harbor is going to bring. We hope a lot. But I feel like 2 of the 3 receivers you're going to see a decent amount of is Larvadan and Brown.
Yeah.
And then, not to say others aren't going to get, like Huggins Bruce could get some run. We're not saying maybe Stevenson develops and he gets more snaps, but I feel like some combination of these 2 guys, Larvadan and Brown, are going to see a ton of snaps.
Yeah, definitely so. And again, you have a full room, a lot of competition in there, so whoever your combination of 4 to 5 guys is at wide receiver this fall, it's going to be the best of a pretty talented group of guys.
All right, so that's Jared Brown. We might pop another cut or 2 before we get out of here at later on today at 3 o'clock. Switch gears. Football. Sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here at the 1 o'clock hour on the halftime show on the game. We're going to switch gears, and we're going to throw out a name of a 5-star quarterback from 3 years ago, coming out of high school. Just transferred. You're like, who? You're going to go, oh, I think I remember this person. That's coming up next. It's a halftime show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head, right here on the game. Men's Clinic of South Carolina. We've been talking about it for about 3 years. Just go ahead. Just do it. You've been feeling off. You don't feel right. Whether it's a lack of sleep, your workouts stink, your recovery from workouts is awful. You can't remember where you set your car keys half the time. You have a lack of drive in life, professional drive, sex drive, life drive, whatever it is. You're just off. And you're concerned because, you're sitting around thinking, what the heck's wrong with me? But you don't tell anybody because we're guys. We're men. We're manly. Everything's great with us. Just make that call, 803-875-MENS. Do the free confidential consultation with Dr. Dan and the staff. If they think it could be just something like low testosterone, do some lab work. If it comes back low T, they'll put you on a personalized program built to get you back to feeling like you again. 803-875-MENS, Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Football, 1 o'clock hour here on The Game with Terry Ford and Tyler Head. Coming up in a few minutes, your chance to win a couple tickets to go check out Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces this weekend against the Puerto Rican national team over at CLA. It's a 1 o'clock tip.
That's
or 1
correct.
o'clock start, right?
1 o'clock tip on Saturday.
Yep. So your chance to win coming up. Okay. The 2021 college football recruiting class. You'll know a bunch of names in this baby. Quinn Ewers was a top overall recruit in 2021. Obviously, the quarterback at Texas. He went to Ohio State, where he started at Texas, flipped his commitment to Ohio State. Remember, that was NIL.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then went back to Texas. He's been the starting quarterback at Texas. There are names here you go, who? The number 8 rated recruit in that class was a guy named Caleb Williams. Whatever happened to him?
Turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. Dallas Turner was 12th.
Also turned, well, from what we've seen in college, pretty good.
Mm-hmm. You see a bunch of first-round picks. Kool-Aid McKestry, top 15 recruit.
A-plus name, by the way.
I love that name. Chop Robinson, another good name.
Another good name.
Started off, wasn't it Pork Chop, and they shortened it to Chop?
Oh, I think that's right.
Old Chop was number 22. Drake May was 24th in this class.
All right.
You know who was one ahead of Drake May?
I don't.
Sam Heward. You're
Okay.
going, who?
The name sounds familiar.
Sam Heward, remember, his dad was Damon Heward, who played quarterback in the NFL, and also at UW. His uncle was Brock Heward, who also played quarterback at UW and hung out a little bit in the NFL. Sam started off at Washington, was a backup for 2 years, pieced out, hit the portal, went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played there a year last season. Numbers were okay. 185 for 304, over 2,200 yards, 18 TDs, 10 picks, 3-8 team. Well, his offensive coordinator there was also his high school coach. And his high school coach just got a gig as the offensive coordinator at Stetson. So Sam Heward decided once again to jump back in the portal and land at Utah. Now, the interesting part of this, now if you're Sam Heward, it feels like you got 2 years of eligibility left. You went to a place where it feels like they have their starting quarterback.
Yes.
Cam Rising is entering his 20th year as a starting quarterback at Utah.
Feels that way, where he's probably going to get hurt.
Yeah. And maybe that's why if you're Sam Heward, you go there, because Heward is going to compete with Brandon Rose and Isaac Wilson to back up Rising. Remember, Rising, serious knee injury at the end of 2022, missed all of 2023. The hope is he'll be ready to go in 2024, but again, there's no guarantee.
Sure.
So maybe if you're Sam Heward, you go, look, I'm going to go in, I'm going to compete for the backup gig. I'm a former 5-star. Maybe I can win the number 2 job. And if old Cam can't get it going with the knee or gets hurt again, I have a starting job. It's just interesting that you go somewhere where there is a starter in place if he's healthy. And a guy who, by the way, when healthy,
Is pretty darn good.
Utah's a different football team.
Well, I mean, if he hadn't gotten hurt at the end of 22, and he was able to come back for the Rose Bowl, but if he hadn't gotten hurt in the middle of that season, I think that's when they lost a game or two there.
Yeah,
that could have been in contention for the playoff.
Their record with him as the starting quarterback being productive, he's productive. He's one of the reasons why they win games. It's not that, one-loss record for quarterback. No, this guy helps win games. He affects games from the quarterback position. He's an excellent college quarterback. Do I think he's going to be a good pro? No, he's not a pro.
Well, and the injuries don't help that either.
Exactly. But he has been a really good college quarterback who affects the game on offense and helps Utah win games.
Right.
And when he's not there, you saw the void that was sucked out of that football team last year.
Yep.
So again, if you're Sam Heward, that's where you're going. Knowing that if Cam Rising is healthy, he's the starter.
Right.
And you're going to burn another year of eligibility being the backup quarterback. But it might be the angle we brought up where he goes, Cam Rising, haven't been healthy in a while. Maybe he won't be able to bounce back, and maybe I can get the starting job at a power school.
Sure.
So, Sam Heward, the guy rated one spot ahead of Drake May in the 2021 recruiting class, is moving on to Utah. After going from UW to San Luis Obispo, where his high school coach was the OC. It's a very interesting career right now, Tyler Head.
Can I one-up you as far as interesting careers go?
Go for it.
Monte Harrison, formerly of the Miami Marlins, was in the 2024 recruiting cycle as I think a 4-star, is returning to play college football as a walk-on at Arkansas.
You
with
win.
Full eligibility.
Wow,
remaining.
you win.
28 years old.
Wow.
Going into his true freshman season.
That's wild. How many years he played in the league?
He made the majors in 2020 with the Marlins. Was there for a couple years, but yeah, he was a 4-star recruit, originally committed to Nebraska back in 2014. He graduated the high school the same year that I did, and he's about to start his college football career.
Oh, it's phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Now, this isn't like we've seen guys that have gone the minor league baseball, like Brandon Whedon was a minor league baseball player before
Chris
he went
Winkie,
and played Chris Winkie
Danny
before
Ainge.
going and playing, usually you see that with quarterbacks, but typically it's guys that don't reach the majors and don't have major league contracts that usually go back and, all right, well, minor league baseball didn't work out. Let me go play football, see what happens there. This guy made it to the pinnacle and now is going back to college.
It's interesting. Yeah, a lot of those guys, another one, Hayden Hurst.
That's right.
Was another one.
That's right.
And Danny Ainge did it, obviously, baseball to basketball.
Yep.
But the other ones we're talking about went back to football. But, yeah, I mean, look, I get it, ready? If I am thought of as a pretty high-level baseball prospect, right, coming out of high school, whatever, and they draft me high enough to where I get a decent bonus,
yeah,
I'm going to give it a shot because, again, all that money's guaranteed. If you can make the majors, you can make a pretty good living without people trying to knock the heck out of you or whatever.
People remember Kyler Murray almost went to baseball after college because of the money he was going to get from the A's.
A's drafted him top 10.
When he realized he was going to go number 1 overall, that was when he switched back to football.
Right.
Because he was ready to be done with college football or football in general and say, hey, I'm going to go play baseball. Now, thankfully, he didn't go to the A's organization because that's a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Checks might bounce.
Not that the Cardinals are that much better, but better than the A's.
You got a billionaire owner who's like, get the payroll out of my change jar.
Yeah, pretty much.
Come on.
But for Monte Harrison,
that's awesome. That's a story. 3
seasons in the majors. He again made it up to with the Marlins in 2020. Played a handful of games in 21. Went to the Angels in 22, but seems to have been bouncing around the minors since then. So kind of saw that, hey, my run to the majors is probably over.
Window shut.
Yeah, let me go play for Uncle Sam at Arkansas.
Let's just say for fun. Let's do this for fun. Let's say Montez balls out for 3 years.
Sure.
31-year-old guy going to the NFL.
Late round pick.
Yeah. And how about if he makes it? What a weird career. You make it to the majors. You hang out in the majors for a few years. It's over. You feel it's over. So now you're going to go play college football because you were a 4-star recruit.
Right.
And you turn it into some type of NFL career.
I'm trying to think about, the relatability he's going to have with kids that are 17 and 18-year-olds.
Easy.
Because, again, we graduated high school the same year. He was born in 95. I was born in 96. You're dealing with kids that were born in, 06, 07 now. How are you going to relate to these guys? You're going to be the grandpa of the locker room.
Oh, no doubt. At 28, you are. I mean, an 18-year-old looks at you and they go, Gramps, what's up? That 10-year window should be 20. Might as well be 20. I remember being 18 thinking 30, you were almost dead.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Sure.
Dude, that guy turned 30? Ooh. Wow, that's not good.
I'm a long way from that.
I won't lie really quick. I've never been wigged out about age except once.
Okay.
When I turned 30. That was my only one. Again, I was in my because I thought 30 you were an old dude. Yeah. You were an old man.
That seems like forever away, right?
Yeah, when you're 18, growing up, I always thought 30, it's over. Everything changes. You wake up a different guy. You wake up, you're wearing diapers. You got false teeth.
Suddenly you've gained 60 pounds. All your hair is gone.
Right. All of a sudden you got man boobs. I thought 30 was just everything was going to crater. I woke up on my 30th birthday and I'm like, wow, just like yesterday when I was 29.
Yeah, same thing.
Nothing. And from that point on, I'm like, who cares? Who cares about turning this age or you hit this part or this decade? 30 was the one where I went, that was really no different. Same guy. But 30, I'm not going to lie, wigged me out.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
how about you? You're getting to it.
I'm about to hit 28. So
Are you feeling like 30 is a thing with you, or do you care?
honestly, I forget what my age is half
Yeah.
the time. I'm like, I'm 20. Yeah, I'm 27. Like when you're like a kid, you're like, oh, you're always hyper aware of your age. And as you get older, like you forget.
I don't think about it. Every now and then I go, oh, wow, I'm that old? Okay. But yes, so you got the right attitude on 30. That's the way you should think about it, because nothing changes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. We'll come back. We did not get into this yet, football in the 1 o'clock hour. We have bowl game news. Great bowl game news to talk about. That's next here on the Halftime Show. Terry Ford and Tyler Head on the game. Football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. Couple things we'll get to. One here in a minute. We'll get to Andy Staples from On 3 on with Paul Feinbaum talking about the SEC and how many teams can make the college football playoff. But first, we got to get to the most important news.
Absolutely.
Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre getting into the college football business. Hit me some Snoop Dogg.
College football fans are exhausted by the constant talk around NIL, conference realignment, coach movement, transfer portal, and super conferences. So it's time that we get back to the roots of college football, when it was focused on the colleges, the players, the competition, the community, the fan experience, and the pageantry. Being a fan, coach, supporter of all levels of the game, I sent many players through my SYFL to colleges and the NFL. So it's only fitting that I step up and help get this thing right. I'm ready to bring the juice back to college football. And I'm taking my talents. That's right. To Arizona. Believe me, Arizona, baby. I'm here to announce the new collaboration, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. The game will be played on December 28th at the University of Arizona Stadium in Tucson, Arizona. I'll be there. Will you be there? Well, guess what? We'll see you there.
How good is that?
Coolest bowl game ever.
Who doesn't want to go and play in the Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice?
I guarantee there'll be 0 opt-outs for this bowl game.
So good. So good. The merch is going to be fantastic.
It's going to be phenomenal. I love bowls in general. I really love when bowls get funky names and sponsorships. My favorite bowl name of all time is the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl. You can't tell me that is not perfection rolled into a bowl name. And now we have, this is the full name, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. Is that not amazing?
Just rolls off the tongue.
Absolutely.
It's just, the thing with Snoop is it's just, no matter what he does, whether it's cool or not, it's cool. It's just who Snoop is. And it's so funny.
He's involved in so many things. When he pops up in a new thing, you're never surprised by it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, well, he's sponsoring a bowl game. He's got his own TV show. He's, he was at WrestleMania this year. Like, all right, I get it. Like, he's living his life.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Eli Manning, drinking Coronas.
He's doing the things we all dream of doing. Just living his best life.
You know what he does? It's almost like he wakes up in the morning and says, you know what I haven't done yet?
Yeah.
I haven't sponsored a bowl game.
Why not?
Hey, Dre, want to sponsor a bowl game?
What's a bowl game?
It's like my idea of a bowl game is different than yours, Snoop. Just saying. So, yeah, Snoop and Dre and the Arizona Bowl. I'm sorry. It's phenomenal. Just phenomenal. All right, also here on football in the 1 o'clock hour here on the halftime show. Andy Staples recently on with Paul Feinbaum. Obviously, the college football playoff is expanding, which means more teams, which the thought is, okay, how many of those teams are going to be from the SEC? The thought is, the SEC could get, 5, whatever, or 6. I don't think that happens. But obviously the SEC can pop another team in, who knows, maybe 2 in a good year, to what they typically do. Here's Andy Staples with Paul Feinbaum talking about that scenario.
It's which of the SEC teams are going to make this first 12-team playoff, because there's a lot of options here. We've got a show coming out tomorrow on the ceiling and the floor for the teams of the SEC. And we had quite a few teams that their ceiling is a playoff berth. Obviously, Georgia, obviously, Alabama, obviously, Texas. Georgia, 2 of the last 3 national titles. Texas made the playoff, the 4-team playoff last year. Alabama did too. But Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU, these are all teams that you can see their ceiling as the 12-team playoff. They aren't all going to make it. At the most, it's going to be 4. It's probably going to be 3. But how you get there is pretty amazing. And how scheduling matters now is pretty crazy because, and I don't mean your non-conference schedule, although that may factor into it, but just the draw you got from the conference. Because if you look at Georgia's schedule versus Missouri's schedule, those look like 2 different things.
Yeah, Andy's right on most of that. I think 3 or 4 teams is the realistic layout for the SEC in a 12-team playoff. LSU, I mean, nobody's schedule is easy in the SEC, but the schedule gods kind of winked at LSU a little bit. That schedule compared to like Oklahoma or Florida, whoo.
Well, and that's the interesting thing to me is, we've always, anybody in the SEC always gets the benefit of the doubt of having one of the tougher schedules. And now the fact that you're going to be potentially adding, 3, 4, 5 teams out of the conference to maybe make it into the college football playoff, I think we're going to start splitting hairs on how tough your schedule within the SEC was. Because if you manage to avoid Georgia and Alabama and you don't play Texas or something like that, is your schedule going to hold up against a team that maybe played 2 or 3 of those teams and were able to beat 1 or 2 of them? You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be very interesting, especially considering the fact that you're still at 8 games. So that potential 9th game that could add a little bit more to that cannibalization is not there yet. How do we split hairs on SEC teams? And, I think ideally, obviously you'd love to be playing in Atlanta in December, but being or 3rd or 4th in the conference, that might be the best position to be in. That, yes, you're not going to get the chance to have a first-round bye necessarily, but that's one less game you have to play in December to potentially get yourself into the first round of the college football playoff.
And when you look at the teams that are brought up in this, I think LSU's got a legit shot. We've talked about Ole Miss. Tennessee, we'll see. Missouri, we'll see. Like, I just popped up Missouri's schedule. I think we even went over this yesterday. I mean, they got to go to A&M. They got to go to Bama. They have Oklahoma at home. None of that's going to be easy. And, of course, they got to travel to UMass.
How?
It's so weird.
I just want to know how that happened.
It's so weird. But you look at the schedule, Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, Vandy. Should be 4-0 out the gate.
Yeah.
Now, you could lose in College Station. Let's say you do. You're 4-1. You bounce back. You beat UMass 5-1. You have Auburn home. Let's say 6-1. You lose in Tuscaloosa 6-2. You go to Oklahoma. You have Oklahoma at home. That still could be a loss, but at least you have Oklahoma at home. You got the Gamecocks, and you're going to travel here to Columbia, at Mississippi State, and home with Arkansas. You might end up being a 9-3 team on the cusp of the college football playoff with that schedule.
Right.
And, Tennessee, you probably look at the same type of, okay, if maybe you were 9-3 and on the cusp of the college football playoff. I think LSU's got a really good schedule. Obviously, Georgia's Georgia. Bama's Bama. Even though we're kind of sitting back, how's the Kalen DeBoer Bama in year 1 going to be? There's a ton of talent still.
Sure.
Let's make no mistake.
Sure.
So I could see 3 or 4 teams from the SEC. All right, you want to go check out Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces Saturday, 1 p.m. at CLA. Exhibition game against the Puerto Rican national team. Hit it, Tyler.
Call now for your chance to win tickets to go check out Asia Wilson and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces take on the Puerto Rican national team. Caller number 6 wins from the game.
Yep, caller number 6. Real easy, real simple. Give us a ring, 803-446-6100. Caller number 6 will be heading off to check the game out, 1 o'clock again at CLA this weekend. We'll pop back in here, Firehouse Sub, text the hour at 803-404-6100 as we go football in the 1 o'clock hour on the game. All right, time to check out our Firehouse Subtext, the hour at 803-446-100. What do you get there, Tylerhead?
Probably hope if I turn my microphone on there.
Yeah, it's overrated.
In reference to Snoop Dogg's bowl game, Jerry points out that he's surprised the name did not allude towards maybe a different type of bowl that Snoop would be associated with.
But yes, Jerry.
There was an opportunity there.
Well, that's the first thing you think of naturally. I wonder when we see the marketing imaging for the Arizona Bowl. Just saying.
Maybe.
How classic would that be? Again, I am not a merch guy.
You might buy something.
I might, once I get my Kraken t-shirt, I might have to get a t-shirt for the Arizona Bowl. If it would be.
If it's what you think it's going to be.
What we hope. What we would hope. Is it legal in Arizona?
I mean, isn't it kind of legal everywhere to a degree?
Yeah. Kind of, sort of, somehow, right?
Somehow. I mean.
Sometimes you need it for your anxiety, dude.
Well, what? Snoop has glaucoma, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, not anymore.
Yeah, it's cured.
It's cured. Excellent text. Firehouse Subtext, the hour at 803-404-6100. All right, real quick. Gamecock Central, our buds, Wes and Chris and intern Joe and Jack and everyone, just saw a post. 5-star linebacker Zayden Walker, who obviously is a huge priority for South Carolina. Walker will announce his decision on which school he'll go to July 5th. Now, the feeling is it's going to come down to the Gamecocks and the Georgia Bulldogs for Walker. Walker, obviously a Georgia kid from Shinley County. But his brother is 4-star Gamecock signee Jalewis Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be a little family help for South Carolina. But right now, Walker has 4 official summer visits set before making that decision on July 5th. He will go to Athens on May 31st. Roll off to Penn State June 7th. Penn State, it's so interesting, Tyler, when you've never been there, I'm guessing.
I have not.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
State College isn't a bustling metropolis.
No. It's like Mountain Nittany and all this stuff. And you drive and you drive and you drive and you drive and you drive.
Yeah.
There's like 2-lane roads going in. It's a little weird. It's got that cult feel. But when you pop there, I mean, it does have a cool vibe for the college town. It's a fun little college town to run around in and bend your elbow.
Sure.
Stadium's 100,000 people.
Yep.
They love their college football.
The whiteouts are cool.
Yep. Whiteouts are cool. Penn State is the official college football program of the state of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So that culture it's a great culture for college football. But I would be surprised to see Zayden Walker end up at Penn State. That's just me.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the on-3 RPM, I mean, it's heavy lean towards Georgia. Carolina's at number 2. Again, what does the Jalewis Solomon factor play into that? We don't know. I mean, some guys want to play with their brother. Some guys like, no, I want to forge my own path, do my own thing, and maybe transfer later or something. I don't know.
And Walker's been around here unofficially a number of times.
Yeah.
Miami on June 14th. Look, again, I think it's Georgia, South Carolina. But we can say what we want about our boy there as the head coach. Cristobal can recruit.
He can. And, you know, especially playing linebacker, Georgia's been putting linebackers in the league at a high clip. So you got a very good shot of stepping your way into the NFL by going to Georgia. I get it. And unfortunately, at least recently, South Carolina doesn't have that same track record. So you're kind of fighting a bit of an uphill battle there.
Yeah, I feel like you're the Gamecocks. Obviously, look, Georgia's Georgia at this point. Right now, they're the best college football program in America.
Right.
Especially with, Nick piecing out in Tuscaloosa. So, yeah, you're fighting a large Kraken. You like that? Do you like how I got that in there? Well, you're fighting a large battle against Georgia. You just are. But is it doable? Yeah, I mean, look, Nick Harbor, Josiah Thompson, the 5 stars of Dylan Stewart. a lot of high-end programs were going after those guys.
Yes.
And I know Thompson was a local kid, but Dylan Stewart was DMV. Harbor was DMV. You brought in some kids from Georgia before in the last couple of years. So, yeah, look, it's tough to beat the Bulldogs on who they want. It is. But South Carolina's kind of gone off the radar and snuck in the back door and snagged some 5 stars here recently. But you're right. It's a big task to beat Kirby and his crew.
In their backyard.
In their backyard on a 5-star kid, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
But again, like you said, Carolina's pulled in some high caliber guys that a lot of people think should have no business being here. So you never know.
And it was like, again, people were like, ooh, they got Harbor? Whoa, they got Stewart?
Remember, that was an 11th hour thing, too.
Uh-huh. So we'll see. But this Zayden Walker deal is going to be interesting. July 5th, Walker will announce where he's going to commit. I believe it comes down to Georgia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So we shall see. All right, that's the latest from our buds at Gamecock Central. We'll come back in here. What's trending at 2, sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions. That is next here on the Halftime Show. Terry Ford and Tyler Head here on the game. What's trending at 2 here on the halftime show? Terry Ford, Tyler Head, sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions. Again, you buy some merch from Gamecock Traditions, a portion of that will go to the Garnet Trust. Because Gamecock Traditions, official partnership with the NIL, the Garnet Trust. All right, what's trending at 2? We got some interesting cuts. We were talking about Andy Staples here a little while ago. Andy Staples did his podcast today on 3, talking about ceilings around the SEC, like we did the last couple of days. We look at those team ceilings from Saturday down south.
Right.
Andy Staples and his crew did that on 3. There's some interesting cuts in there regarding Lenora Sellers we're going to get to when you're ready, sir.
Yes, we are good to go.
Are you good to go? Look at you. Look at you. You're a wild man. All right, so here's Andy Staples. Let's start off with the one who they compare Lenora Sellers to. You want to go there first?
Sure.
A recent starting quarterback in the SEC. Hit it.
I'm very excited for the SEC in the country, really, to see this guy play quarterback, because he is exactly what NFL teams are looking for at the next level. He is literally built to carry the load for this team. And I think this guy is going to have it's going to be a tough act. Don't get me wrong. But I think we're going to see Lenora Sellers put down some gaudy numbers this year.
That schedule is hard.
It is hard.
It is hard. They're at Oklahoma. They get Missouri and Columbia. Well, they would play Missouri and Columbia no matter what. But at their Columbia, Ole Miss comes to Williams-Brice Stadium. LSU comes to Williams-Brice Stadium. They're in Tuscaloosa. They're at Clemson this year. They're at Kentucky. This is a very difficult schedule. But what you're saying, what you're describing, is you are leaning toward that ceiling I suggested.
I think so. And I think it's just because teams are not comfortable in defending things they have not seen. And I don't believe Lenora Sellers, honestly, Lenora Sellers' game reminds me a lot of Anthony Richardson. And to that point,
6-6 as a starter in the SEC.
Exactly. To that point, do they win a lot of games? Who knows? But is this guy going to be an absolute spectacle to watch for everyone else in the country? 100%.
How about a more accurate version of Anthony Richardson? Can we have that?
I was going to say, I like the prospect of somebody that was drafted high a season ago, but there were some things that Anthony Richardson could have been better, certainly, in his time at Florida. And again, Anthony Richardson, the measurables, why people drooled over him. And, we didn't get to see the full potential of him in his first year in Indy because he got hurt, obviously. But, not a bad guy to be compared to. Hopefully maybe a little more refined version of Anthony Richardson.
We'll take the playmaking ability with his legs version. And when he did complete a pass, there were times it was a big play. But how about a more consistently accurate version of Anthony Richardson would be phenomenal. And
one with maybe a little bit of a better record. They did make a bowl game, but
yes,
it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, it was 6-6 Florida team. All right, another cut with Andy, and Andy's on. He is on the Lenora Sellers train. There's no doubt about it. Here's another cut. Andy Staples talking about the possibilities of Lenora Sellers.
Andy, this might be my hottest take of the season, but I think we're looking at a Lenora Sellers dark horse sort of Heisman caliber.
Whoa.
We are so high on him at On 3, right? Like we believed in the talent. We saw the physical makeup, the athletic ability, the arm talent, the ability to push the ball vertically. Even if they don't have some of the pieces back there, I will say they did bring in Raheem Sanders to carry the load at running back, which is extremely helpful.
Absolutely.
I think that two-headed monster in that backfield is going to be scary, scary. And I think they know what they have in a guy like Nicholas Harbor, right? If those three guys are the only ones that touch the ball on this offense, I'm okay. Because I believe that Lenora Sellers is going to be so much of a game changer. They were raving about him even before he took a snap of spring. This is somebody that they were saying, oh my gosh, this kid though with the rec specs is an absolute dude back here.
So for clarification, the guy that's mainly talking there that presents
That's not Andy Staples.
That's not Andy Staples. That is Cody Bellery, who is a national scout for On 3. So somebody that's very much looking at what he's seen on tape so far of Sellers and giving his potential thoughts on what he could be this season.
I mean, that was wow. You go dark horse Heisman.
You want to talk about setting people's expectations really high? You tell people around here Sellers is a dark horse Heisman candidate, oh boy, the expectations are going to be through the roof.
Especially for a guy that hasn't taken a snap as a starting quarterback.
You're walking a fine line.
You have made folks who are already giddy
even giddier.
Even giddier. Yes. And look, you saw a taste of the physical ability in the spring game. And we did the spring game here with Wes and Chris Miller and myself, and watching Lenore Sellers play the position, you see he's instinctive. Like I said, he knew when it was time to get out of the pocket.
Sure.
And when he did, it wasn't just to go run. He kept his head up. He was looking to make a play down the field in the passing game. And if that wasn't there, then he took off. But he really put pressure on the opposing defense. No, there weren't any gigantic 50, 60-yard plays down the field. But you watched him maneuver and engineer the offense. It's a spring game. I get it. We're not going to make too much of it. But you just saw instinctiveness, Tyler. Again, where's that going to take him in year one? I don't know. But he looked like a guy that because we're always going to be doing this with him this year. That was the first this.
Yeah.
This is the first that.
Yeah, I want to see him start an SEC game before I put him on the Heisman ballot personally. Not saying he can't be that because, God, we've seen guys come out of nowhere as in their first year as starters and win Heisman trophies, but I'm going to temper my expectations a little bit.
Yeah, I'm one of those, I don't get crazy until I see something.
Sure.
I mean, and even Old Dominion, that's not going to be a barometer.
Well, that's why I said you go on the road to Kentucky in week number 2.
Kentucky, that's the one I was going to say. Kentucky's the game it starts.
If he throws for 450 and runs for another 100 up there in Lexington, Kentucky, all right, then we can talk.
Things get a little nutty then, doesn't it? But I guess what we're saying is here you're hearing not anybody around here who might have garnet and black colored glasses, but a national scout for On 3 talking about the potential of Lenore Sellers. And there's a massive high ceiling on the Gamecock quarterback. That was interesting. That was good stuff. And we'll give a thumbs up to our buddy Elijah Campbell, who ripped that for us from Andy Staples' podcast. I'm sure that Jay and Elijah will be re-racking that during the post-game show. Broadcasting live, by the way, from Beer Keller.
That's right. A lot of beer today.
Yes, lots of beer. And it's in a cool little spot there. It's got the apartments. It's got Beer Keller. It's got some other businesses. It's a really cool little spot there off of Taylor, Beer Keller. That's today from 3 to 6. The governor will be there, by the way.
Drinking with Jay and Elijah?
Well, that's the only reason he's going, because Elijah and Jay will be there. Governor's like, oh, I'll come hang around too. I mean, it is Beer Keller.
Very true. I
love the Steins. See the folks walk around there yesterday. We were site testing it to make sure we can actually make it technically work. And the Steins are cool. I just want to drink beer out of the Beer Keller Steins. So that's today, 3 to 6. All right, so when you hear that about Lenore Sellers, obviously you get, who? Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And I think the other thing that they brought up was, Rocket Sanders being healthy, and if Nicholas Harbor can come in and develop himself into a weapon. Because if you look at that real quick, Tyler, the athleticism on those 3 guys, if you get football production that comes close to matching the athleticism, that's crazy. Now, again, the biggest wild card of the 3, obviously, is Harbor because he's so raw. And we get it. Sellers hasn't started a game. We know what Rocket Sanders can be if healthy.
Right.
And so you're banking on that. You're hoping what we just heard, Sellers can come close to achieving what we just heard. And with Nicholas Harbor, I mean, it's a work in progress, and we'll see how much that work in progress progresses through the summer, and we'll see what you've got when starting off second game of the year with Kentucky. But if you just think about what was said in that little clip, yeah, Harbor was a 5-star. He's going to be one day, we think, a world-class track athlete. He's got athleticism. I mean, guy just sweats athleticism.
Oh, yeah.
And Sellers Again, you get compared to Anthony Richardson. Forget the quarterback play for a minute. Anthony Richardson really looked at more as an athlete playing quarterback at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So you're hearing about guys with athletic ceilings. And with Rocket Sanders, it's more than just that because he has put up numbers. All right, what's trending at 2 here on the game? Also, what's trending was an easy run rule victory over Winthrop last night. Let's get to that Cole Messina home run. We haven't given Cole Messina enough love. Only the SEC Player of the Week, and Cole Messina keeps it going last night against Winthrop.
Here's a drive to center. Back goes Evans at the wall. It's gone. I guess he did. 3 home runs in the inning for Carolina. And Messina adds to the party with his 15th of the season and his 50th run batted in.
Last night, 14 hits, only 3 walks, 14 hits, 17 base runners, not throwing in any type of errors or anything else, just 17 base runners when you look at hits and walks, 15 runs. Austin Brindling, again, leading the way with 4 knocks and 5 trips. Kennedy Jones, a little mini slump, got out of it with 2 knocks and 5 RBIs. Dalton Reeves, a couple of hits. Gavin Casas, 2 knocks as well. A lot of guys ate well last night.
Can I give you my padlock stat of the night?
Go for it.
8 of 9 had an RBI, and the one guy that didn't was Dalton Reeves, who still went 2 for 4.
That's a good night, man.
Pretty good night.
It's interesting. Look, I'm all about getting on base. I am a huge fan of strike zone judgment, a huge fan of on-base percentage, and a huge fan of guys who take a walk. But it felt like we were talking about South Carolina. There were some folks that thinking they weren't aggressive enough at the plate, or they weren't aggressive enough early in counts. Hunting their pitch, so to speak, is what it's called. And when they did get the pitch they were hunting for, they weren't barreling it. Well, it feels like some of those things are now starting to happen. And maybe that's why the walk number, like last night, the walk number is only 3. Why? Because they sprayed the ball all over the yard offensively. So, very good night. Now, on to Georgia. We'll hear on to Founders here against Georgia. 3-game set starts Thursday night. Tomorrow night, 7:45 pregame, 8 o'clock first pitch. That gets the 3-game series going, weather permitting. Always got to say that, Tyler. Weather permitting.
I checked the weather. I think we're going to be in good shape.
I'm hoping
for tomorrow night. Let me double check on that.
So we will see what the weather gods do for the 3-game set. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, huge series with Georgia, and that follows in a huge series in Knoxville against Tennessee.
Okay, the rain's supposed to push out by early afternoon tomorrow. We should be fine.
We'll take that. Then our staff meteorologist, Tyler Head. Know a guy that works.
I know a guy that works there.
You know a guy.
I do ask him. I'll be like, hey, what's the weather going to be like this weekend?
That's so good. Most people just check their weather app. Tyler has an actual
I got an insider.
Meteorologist. All right, we'll get back in here. What's trending at 2 here on the game. Kansas City Chiefs, went and got Xavier Worthy in the first round of the draft, wide receiver who burned a sub-4.3 40. And also, again, look, there are things he's going to have to improve upon in the NFL, but was a productive college player in his final year because he started catching the ball when they threw it to him. Xavier Worthy might become even more important than the Chiefs were even thinking about in his rookie year.
No kidding.
Because, they got some trouble in the wide receiver room. We'll get to that next and more of what's trending at 2. It is the halftime show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head on the game. We are cooking with what's trending at 2 here on The Game. Halftime show with Terry Ford and Tyler Head. It has been, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, like if you're like Andy Reid, the last thing you want is for your phone to ring late at night these days, because it could be something with Rashid Rice.
Well, seems like it's happening about every day now.
Yeah, Rashid Rice. Okay, you heard about the 6-car crash that Rice was involved in.
Yep.
In March in Dallas. At least 7 people had injuries. He is facing a count of aggravated assault, 1 count of collision involving seriously bodily injury, and 6 counts of collision involving injury. So I'm guessing some of that is felony.
Yes.
All right, Rice was driving almost 120 miles an hour before the crash on the Dallas freeway, according to an arrest warrant affidavit. All right. So now, Rice is a suspect in an alleged assault that injured a man at a Dallas nightclub earlier this week. Law enforcement officials who, I guess, the newspaper, the Dallas Morning News, contacted, the officers were dispatched early Monday morning to a nightclub after reports of an assault. Man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, including swelling on one side of his face. Police say no charges related to the alleged assault have been filed as of Tuesday afternoon. But, look, nightclub scraps happen.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
Add in men, add in testosterone, add in beer muscles.
Yeah.
Things happen. But if you're Rashid Rice, and you got this thing hanging over your head where you have 1 count of aggravated assault, 1 count of collision involving serious bodily injury, and 6 counts of collision involving injury. You were driving about 120 miles an hour, and according to an affidavit, you were aggressively driving 119 miles an hour through traffic. Are you going to go and get yourself into a scrap in a nightclub?
You shouldn't. You shouldn't put yourself in situations where things like this can happen.
Here's what happens when you get the phone call from your bud. Hey, dude, man, we're going to go clubbing. You want to go?
No.
Nope. Why? I got 119 reasons. What was that? The miles per hour I was going.
Your career is already teetering because of this. And this, if this isn't the final straw, it should have been. Because, and here's the thing. You have an organization that is run very well in the Kansas City Chiefs. High level of success, Super Bowls, all that kind of stuff. They're likely not going to put up with any more of this.
No.
At some point, you just cut bait and say, you know what? You're too much to handle. We've got Xavier and Worthy now. We'll address our wide receiver room in some other way. We can't do this.
See you, bud. I mean, you don't need this. Because, like you said, I can't count on you.
Right.
You're a loose cannon. Your decision-making is atrocious. Your maturity is ridiculous. Look, again, I mean, Rice's early 20s. When I was in my early 20s, did I make smart decisions? No. But guess what? I was an NFL wide receiver.
Right.
And you can get mad at this. You can disagree with it. You can think it's not fair. But you are held at a different standard. It comes with the 6 and 7 and 8-figure paydays. It comes with all the, oh, wow, you're an NFL player? Oh, cool. You need a table at the restaurant? Oh, I'll go out with you. Oh, you want a car? All the good things that come with the lifestyle of a high-profile professional athlete.
Sure.
You know what else comes with it these days? Smart decision-making.
Yep.
You're not a regular 22 or 23-year-old goober. And you can't be. Or you can be, and guess what you're not going to be anymore? Employed. Right. Then you can go be a goober all you want, right, Tyler?
Right.
You can goob your brains out.
Yeah, as you blow through the rest of your NFL money.
Right. Look, when you are highly paid, unless you have a trust fund, unless you got willed a ton of money, unless you hit the lottery, unless you were having some fun digging at the beach and you found a briefcase with $1 billion in it, usually when you're paid a lot of money, you know what comes with that? An expectation.
Sure.
An expectation that you're A, going to do your job, and B, you're not going to be a goober. Rashid Rice, my friend, you're being a goober in a very bad way. And you're going to goober yourself right out of the NFL. Because if you look, they let Tyreek Hill walk for salary cap reasons.
Yep.
Rashee Rice, you're no Tyreek Hill.
No.
They'll let you walk or they'll walk you. They'll walk you to your car with your stuff. They'll call the Uber for you. You got to understand the room in life.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're 22, 32, 42, 52. Our boy Rashee Rice obviously does not understand the room. And he's going to ruin his NFL career.
If he hasn't already.
Yeah. By the way, you're playing for the best organization in the NFL.
I say, you got it made. It's not like you're playing for, I don't know,
Carolina?
the Panthers.
By the way, who's throwing you the ball?
Yeah, literally the best quarterback of this generation.
Oh, by the way, who's drawing up your plays?
One of the best offensive minds the game's ever seen.
Nice job, Rashee. Good work. Hey, I got a great idea tonight. Why don't you maybe, I don't know. So what have you not done yet? How about, you know what? Great idea. Shoplifting. How about some shoplifting tonight?
Why not?
Well, I mean, you've already done all sorts of, you broke the law in 15 different ways in your car. You've now gone to a club and allegedly gotten into a brawl. How about some shoplifting tonight? Why not?
Would that be the final straw?
Hey, Rashid, hey, man, you want to hit the outlet malls and do some shoplifting? Sure. Wow. Another NFL story, Tyler Boyd, an effective wide receiver over his career in Cincinnati, had some years better than others, but one of the group of the three wide receivers that helped the Bengals really get cooking, get to a Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. But again, there's only so much money to go around a salary cap sport, and between Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd's the odd man out. It's just life. Mm-hmm. He's not as good as the other two. Boyd signed a one-year deal worth $4.5 million with the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are quietly trying to rebuild their wide receiver position because the Titans haven't been the same offense since they mistakenly let A.J. Brown go.
Right.
Look, do I agree with what they've done here? I mean, Calvin Ridley, I wouldn't have given Calvin Ridley that contract because Calvin Ridley didn't show me enough consistently last year in Jacksonville to make me want to hand large money to Calvin Ridley. But the Titans did. DeAndre Hopkins is still, he might not be in the prime DeAndre Hopkins, but he's still a guy that can do some stuff for you. Mm-hmm. Traylon Burks can't stay healthy. First round pick out of Arkansas. The problem is and I think you should be doing this, but can Will Levis accurately, consistently get the football to these guys? And can the offensive line protect Will Levis so he can possibly accurately, consistently throw the ball to these guys?
That's why they bring in Brian Callahan, who can whisper to Will Levis. And he obviously has the prior relationship with Tyler Boyd, so he knows what he brings to the table as a wide receiver to hopefully, in their eyes, bring this Tennessee offense along.
And that senior Callahan knows offensive line play.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think the Titans are trying to do what they should be doing is beef up their wide receiver position because they really need to. We say this all the time, Tyler. What do you do for a young quarterback? You surround him with weapons and an offensive line.
Which is what the Panthers did not do last year.
The Panthers wrote the book on the exact opposite way to supplement a franchise quarterback. And speaking of the Panthers, Rashad Penny, veteran running back, had some good moments in Seattle back in the day. Penny has been signed by the Panthers. Dave Canales remembers Penny from those days in Seattle. You got Jonathan Brooks, second-round pick, Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders. You got a pretty crowded backfield in Carolina, but they add Rashad Penny. Look, anything you can do to add any bodies with any talent in Carolina is a good thing.
Right.
All right, that's what's trending at 2, sponsored by Traditions Fine Jewelry and Gamecock Traditions. Today is what?
May the 8th.
And it'll be a great day in the history of the world. That's coming up in our next segment. Right now, though, time to give away some tickets, Tyler. Pop that fancy sounder for us real quick.
Call now for your chance to win tickets to go check out Asia Wilson and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces take on the Puerto Rican national team. Caller number 6 wins from the game.
Give us a ring right now. Caller number 6 wins at 803-404-6100. It is the halftime show with Terry Ford and Tyler Head. Greatest day in the history of the world. Sponsored by 1-800-GOT-JUNK is next on the game. Time to check the greatest day in the history of the world, March 8th. Sponsored by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. You know, some days are more full than others, Tyler.
We run into a slow one.
A little bit. A little bit. We were talking about this yesterday, this day in 2018. We had one yesterday, and we got another one today. To our point yesterday, 2018, Seattle Mariners lefty James Paxton hurls a no-hitter.
Okay.
In a 5-0 win over the Blue Jays. We talked about how the last X amount of years, it feels like no hitters have picked up where they're, because pitching has gotten so dominant in baseball.
It has.
That has a little bit of luster been taken off the no hitter. Because today, a lot of hitters look as a strikeout as just another out.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of those things that, you know, if you're batting 300 and almost all your outs are strikeouts, it's still not a big deal. As opposed to, you know, back in the day where it was almost taboo to strike out. Now it's no big deal.
You were looked down upon if you struck out a lot.
Sure. You didn't want to walk back to the dugout.
No. I remember being a kid, you strike out and you're like, suck.
I don't want to out this person. I had a teammate that would cry every time and not just every time he struck out, every time he got out. If he grounded out to first base, even if he knocked in a run, he would cry going back to the dugout.
Every time he made an out?
Every time he made an out.
Does he understand that you're going to make outs in baseball?
I don't think he did.
He cried.
And he was a good friend of mine. My dad and I still joke about that.
How old was your friend?
We were, at this point in time, 12 years old.
You're getting to that border where, hey, man, you got to stop that crying thing.
Yeah.
Come on.
And he had, like, you'd see his lips start to kind of
not the quiver.
Yeah. Wasn't it? We're like, man, come on. We're a little too old for this.
Come on, you're 12 now. You can't cry over every out. Come on, what's up with you?
Like, you knocked in 2 runs and we won the game. I don't think you need to cry just because you got thrown out at first base.
Yeah, the strikeout thing, I'll get it to a point. But I also think, and I say this all the time, that situational hitting is always going to be a thing in baseball. You can give me all the, and look, I'm an analytic guy. I love it. I love analytics. But the idea that a strikeout's just another out, I don't think that applies all the time. We saw it with Gamecock baseball this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get runners all over the bags. You're leaving guys all over the bases because you're not making contact, because you're not changing the situational aspect of your at-bat.
Right.
That's what happens.
Well, I mean, for most of the first half of the season, it seemed like Ethan Petrie either hit a home run or struck out every single time he came up.
And I think the strikeout's just another out thing has been part of why we see, and all the velocity now, because it's all about velocity and pitching. So you combine those things, and I just think you see more no-hitters.
Sure.
Even though you don't see dominant starting pitchers anymore, like dudes who throw 300 innings, and the starting pitcher has been kind of devalued.
Well, I mean, as we're seeing with the rash of guys getting TJ surgery, nobody's arms are holding up anymore because they're throwing 100 miles an hour every pitch.
Heavy effort, 100 miles an hour, travel ball, showcases, kids throwing hard all year.
There was a clip that went around the other day. It was like this 8th grader, and he was throwing like 88 miles an hour.
Jeez,
and, you know, it's being presented as like, man, this is unbelievable. Like, no, the kid's arm's going to fall off by the time he's a senior in high school.
Wait till you see the video where he goes to throw in his arm just like Frisbees to the catcher.
Yeah, pretty much.
On this day in 2014, the Houston Texans in the NFL draft took some dude named Jadeveon Clowney. First pick overall. You know who else was in that draft?
The draft was late that year.
Yeah.
In that draft? Let me think.
Big name.
2014.
Won the Heisman.
Oh.
Was drafted in the first round.
That's right. Yeah, 22nd overall to the Browns.
Johnny Football. Remember, Truck Stop Jimmy, the owner of the Browns, said a homeless man stopped him and said, "You need to draft Johnny Manziel."
You know, of all the bad moves the Browns have made, that one might take the cake. I watched a video yesterday about the coldest sports takes of all time, and Skip Bayless saying that Johnny Manziel would end up being a bigger deal in Cleveland than LeBron ever was might be number one on the list.
Awful. That almost is a fireable offense.
Now, here's my thing. And again, this goes back to what we were talking about the other day with these. We like to prop these scouts up as being geniuses that know football better than anybody. After what I imagine was their due diligence of research with Texas A&M, did nobody realize that Johnny Manziel didn't take practice seriously, didn't watch film? He just went out there and played.
He was Johnny Football.
Because he was Johnny Football, and he was the best athlete on the field in college. You can't get away with that in the NFL. Did they not see the red flags before drafting him in the first round?
Did they have any private detectives following Johnny Manziel around at all?
I guess
in
not.
College Station?
I guess not.
That alone would have stopped me from drafting him, period.
Because, again, when you get to the NFL and realize that, oh, I have to actually put work into this and, like, hone my craft like Tom Brady did, which made him the greatest quarterback of all time, Johnny didn't want to do that. He wanted to party and would show up on game day and just sling the ball around and run for his life. That was his game in college. That doesn't work in the NFL.
No. And did you interview anyone around Johnny Manziel? Anybody on campus? Did you, like I said, watch where he frequents, watch what he does, like they did to old Justin Blackman there at Oklahoma State?
I don't get it. Again, we prop these guys up with being geniuses that comb over every fine-tooth detail of, oh, well, you got Preston brought up a good point when we were talking last week. He's like, I had a teammate whose 7th grade fight got brought up when he was being talked to by a draft expert, by, people analyzing him for the draft. Like, if you're going to go that far in depth on somebody when they were 12 years old, how does Johnny's time in College Station just get overlooked?
It's craziness. It really is if you go back to think about it.
But
remember this, real quick. Jerry Jones wanted to draft Johnny Football.
He did.
And his son said, no, Dad, we're going to draft this offensive lineman named Zach Martin.
And that is why Jerry Jones should not be in charge of anything these days.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things that, like, and there's also the naiveness of a lot of these organizations say, well, we get him in here, we're going to change him.
We're
going to turn him into what we want to be as quarterback. Good luck with that. Because that worked out real well. He was out of the league in 2 years.
Yeah. Out of every league, everything he did.
Well, no, he played in the fan-controlled football league as recently as last year. So that football dream ain't over just yet.
I love the fan-controlled football league. I mean, if you're a fan and you're into that sort of thing, you're totally geeking, right?
You go from being a first-round pick to letting somebody in their mom's basement call your plays while you're being streamed online somewhere.
So you're saying this hasn't worked out well?
No, it is not.
2001, Randy Johnson becomes the third pitcher to strike out 20 hitters in 9 innings. Diamondbacks, they did win that game in 11. Obviously, Randy Johnson did not finish it. 1993, Lennox Lewis, British heavyweight, scores unanimous 12-round decision over Tony Tucker, his first defense of his WBC heavyweight championship. Lennox Lewis, for a minute, people thought was going to be the next great heavyweight. At one point, he was 25-0 after a TKO of Phil Jackson. Yes, former Laker and Bulls head coach. Lost to Oliver McCall in just a bizarre heavyweight fight. I'm not going to say it wasn't the same because he went on and didn't lose again for a long time, but then lost to Hasim Rahman in a huge upset. And that was he only had 2 losses in his whole career. But it was weird because people thought that, he was going to go down in history as one of the great heavyweights. Now, he had a heavyweight title for a long time. Because after he lost to McCall, he got it back again by beating the great Tommy Morrison. You remember Tommy Morrison? And Lennox Lewis was 41-2-1 in his career. But for some reason, he lost steam as a great fighter. It's very weird how it just all of a sudden it went, well, he's really good, but he's not like on that level.
Right.
And it wasn't like the golden era of heavyweights. But anyway, Lennox Lewis, 1993, his first defense of the heavyweight championship. That's the greatest day in the history of the world, sponsored by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We will come back. Firehouse subtext of the hour is next on the Halftime Show with Terry Ford and Tyler Head on the game. All right, let's see. I was getting ready to say what's trending at 2. We've already done that. I've lost my mind today. Firehouse Sub, text of the hour, 803-446-100. I do know this. I remember this. I gotta go to the men's clinic.
Yes, you do.
I really need to go to the men's clinic. I'm hoping it's just low testosterone. Maybe I have no testosterone. Maybe I've lost all my testosterone.
You know, I think that's between you and the doctor.
That's right. Dr. Dan, I have no testosterone left. I can't remember anything. I do know that the postgame show with Jay and Elijah, Haley's out there, Jeannie, Beer Keller.
I think Elijah's already downed one. What do you call those things?
Steins.
The Steins. I think he's already downed one.
He's two-fisting Steins.
That's right.
Well, Elijah's just doing it for show purposes to tell you how great Beer Keller is.
Here's the thing. When you're out at a beer garden and they offer you beer, you're not going to say no.
Well, you can't be rude. That's rude.
Hey, we thought we got a free beer at Twin Peaks the other week. Turns out it was just put on the wrong table, but I was fully prepared to drink the thing because I didn't want to be rude.
Because, again, we can't be rude.
That's right.
So we could have got 2 straws and crushed it.
Drinking beer out of a straw just sounds wrong.
Well, they said, when I was a kid, I think this is an urban legend because I never did it. They said drinking beer out of a straw would get you buzzed quicker.
Okay, I'm not sure how that works.
I don't either. I think it was just an urban legend passed along from generations of weirdos in Essex, Maryland. But that was an urban legend that if you drink a beer out of a straw, you would get a buzz faster. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying that was the urban legend when I was growing up.
Sure, I'll take your word for it.
So Beer Keller, Jay Phillips is legal age. Maybe he'll drink a craft beer with a straw. You see Jay with a straw drinking beer.
Honestly, I could.
I get that mental picture in my head right now, too. Craft beer card, by the way, also pop out and check out the craft beer card. Only costs you $79, a $360 value for $79. $30 at 12 different craft beer locations. Beer Keller is one of those locations. So pop out today, say hi to Jay and Elijah and Haley and Jeannie, and maybe grab yourself a craft beer card. A great value, $79 for $360 worth of craft beer. You got transfer portal news before we get to our Firehouse Sub text the hour. What you got, man?
Yeah, so this just being reported a few minutes ago, Drew Tuazama has entered the transfer portal. Remember, he came in as kind of a last-minute addition from UAB right before the season started in late August last year. Didn't really get on the field a whole lot, kind of looking at his snap numbers from this past year. 52 total snaps on defense. Didn't really pop the way he thought he was going to, and now pursuing another opportunity elsewhere.
It makes sense because he's really been pushed down the depth chart.
Sure.
And he came in last year, and the hope was he could bring, some productivity along the defensive front.
Because he had a pretty good year at UAB the year before.
Yes. And so the hope was maybe a guy who could slide inside, move outside, whatever the case. And even when he did get on the field, he just didn't show.
Yeah.
So that will make sense.
And again, it's one of those things like that's not a detrimental loss.
No.
Kind of falls into that healthy transfer. You've brought in other guys in the edge room, Gilbert Edmonds, Kyle Kennard. Like, you feel good with what you got. And you do lose a body, sure, but I don't think it's huge a detriment to the
And that's why
defense.
whenever we talk about available scholarships, everybody always goes like this now. Because you never know when something like this is going to happen.
Sure.
But, hey, good luck to old Drew. Hopefully he finds a place where he can get some run.
And here's the thing. When you come to a place like South Carolina, you obviously want taking a step up from Group of 5 to Power 5, hoping to get playing time to prove yourself, to likely try and play at the next level. Didn't happen for him here. Now he's going somewhere else.
And we always say this. You hope everybody who transfers brings you something, right?
Of course.
That's the goal. But obviously it's not going to work all the time.
No.
Sometimes one works, wow, I didn't expect that one. And then sometimes it doesn't work and you go, wow, I thought that would work.
Sure.
You just never know. That's why you just keep, like what South Carolina did this year with the depth of players they add in the portal. It's almost like, look, we're going to throw enough against the wall here with enough guys who have got past productivity. They have this skill set, that skill set, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to line up an explosive offense or a playmaking defense.
Right.
All right, Firehouse Sub, text of the hour at 803-404-6100. What do you got?
Yeah, so going back to when we were talking about Jared Brown and kind of the size of this wide receiver room, Nameless Texter says, what were the dimensions of the Fun Bunch from Washington back in the day?
Wow.
Is there a parallel to be drawn?
That is a phenomenal poll. A Fun Bunch was a bunch of small receivers.
So it was what, Art Monk and guys like
Monk
that.
was the big guy.
He was the big guy of that
He was
room.
the big guy of that crew. That's when the Washington football team was a Super Bowl caliber football team.
Was that Doug Williams era Washington?
That era, well, remember, Washington won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks.
That's right. That was before I was born, so I wasn't around for
Yes. You, your dad was probably a youngin' in, because this is the 80s when the Fun Bunch. I gotta shake my memory. So that's a really good poll. I am very impressed with that one. Fun Bunch was Alvin Garrett, Virgil Say, Charlie Brown, who was a nice receiver and also made some great cartoons.
Yeah.
And Art Monk was the big one of the crew. But yeah, that was the Fun Bunch. And Alvin Garrett, Virgil Say, and Charlie Brown, I believe, were a shade under 5 feet in some way, shape, or form. And Art Monk was over 6 foot. And nice, great work by the way. 6'3" was Art Monk, and the rest of them were smaller guys. Great poll on the text line. Firehouse Subtext Hour, we're done.